now as St. John Cassian, spent the better part of 15 years sitting at the feet of the monks in the Egyptian desert, learning from them the deep secrets of total renunciation and a complete commitment to purity of heart. Some 20 years later, at the request of his bishop in Marseille in southern France, where he himself had built a monastery, he wrote of his experiences in the desert, claiming over and over again that he was no better than Bishop Archibius to do justice to what he saw there, much less to imitate it. Nevertheless, he related the lessons that he learned so that others could learn as well. When it comes to relating the great wonders that God accomplished in the lives of the men and women who became not just monks and nuns, but true heroes of holiness in the Egyptian desert, I am far less capable than the great John Cassian. But my purpose and motivation in these talks are the same as his, to share the life and the teachings of these great saints, so that all may draw inspiration and courage from their example, and that we may recommit ourselves to the task of conversion and spiritual growth, which they dedicated themselves to alone, with God alone. In this first talk, we'll set the scene. What was the world that they left behind? What did they find in the wilderness? Why choose the desert? All throughout the history of salvation, as it's recorded for us, especially in the sacred scriptures, the desert keeps coming back as an image of God's presence and of his way of transforming his chosen people. The desert experience had a huge impact on the life of the Israelites. It was there that God found them, suffering, oppressed by the Egyptians, forced to do cruel, hard work as slaves. It was there that he came to their rescue, calling to Moses from the burning bush, telling him that he had seen the oppressive plight of his people, that he had heard their plaintive cries, that he had a plan and he was coming to their rescue. It was there that he drew them out of Egypt and led them through the desert, that he protected them against their enemies, that he sustained and fed them with miraculous food, that he gave them water from the rock, that he led them by ways that they could not have imagined, that he was their God and their protector for 40 years in the wilderness. As they came close to the promised land and were encamped by the river Jordan, Moses called upon the people to recall the things that the Lord had done for them. Remember, he says, how for 40 years now the Lord your God has directed all your journeying in the desert, so as to test you by affliction, and find out whether or not it was your intention to keep his commandments. He let you be afflicted with hunger, and then fed you with manna, in order to show you that not by bread alone does man live, but by every word that comes forth from the mouth of God. So you must realize, Moses says, that the Lord your God disciplines you, even as a man disciplines his son. Therefore keep the commandments of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and fearing him. Moses interprets the actions of the Lord towards his people in the desert as an act of love, not of punishment, as a sign that God was close to them. Therefore he tells the people, be careful not to forget the Lord your God by neglecting his commandments and decrees and statutes, which I enjoin on you today. Of course, we know from the history of salvation that time and again the people of God did forget his commandments. And God sent the prophets to call his people back to him. And there too the desert became a place of transformation, a place of renewal. The Lord speaks through the prophet Isaiah and tells the people that he will call them back to the desert, where he can meet them again, where he can remind them of his love. Speaking of Israel as his bride, he says to Isaiah, I will allure her. I will lead her into the desert and speak to her heart. She shall respond.